Hello and welcome. It is now the 10th day of January 2020. My name is Derek and this is the Money Charts channel. Like always, all bets, trades of the like within each's own risk and their own reward. It's about 1:46 a.m. Eastern Time as I'm doing this video. And it's really unlike me to be up at this time. And again, I mean, this is when I put my video yesterday. Actually, this is a little later, but in the same time frame area. Yeah, so it's a little unlike me, but it's a lot like me. As there were days when I was big time night hawk, and I worked at night shifts on 4 different jobs in my life, and two of them full time minimum. 2 of them were big time full times. One was summer job, and another one was a few months, and that was just part of how it is. And whether I'll be keeping doing it this way, well, tomorrow night's hockey game starts a lot earlier. This night's was like it's like the 10:30 games. Now we got like 9 o'clock game tomorrow, so it'll still be after midnight probably if I do, and may do in the morning, but oftentimes there's a bunch of other things that I'm doing. So let's get into this, and I'm going to talk about fantasy after I'm done this analysis on silver, gold, and the Bitcoin. Not going to go over any of the long-term stuff, weekly, monthly, any of that type of stuff. I do that probably more than I should, because it is long-term. It really should get designated, like the monthly chart, like once or twice a month, or when it's happening kind of deal. So anyway, within the key high, point A, point B, however you want to name it, to me, it's just obvious. So you got the low down in here that occurred in November of 2018, a little over a year ago. And then early in 2019, it comes up to the 16 level. It hits it on 2 different occasions, and it pierced below it here. But so there was a key high there. And then several lower highs and lower lows, which enabled a higher low from the November lows, which occurred last year in May. And then within it, higher highs, higher lows, which enabled to get up to the 19.5 mark, which happened really near the end of the summer solstice. And lower highs, lower lows occurring all the way down until the December. And what a run that it's had from this point. Because we look at this, you have a correctionary move that happened in June, number 1. Correctionary move number 2, the July one. Correctionary move number 3. Even this number 4 had this little bit of a correctionary move at the end of August. And then in here, 1 low, 2 low, another correctionary 3. 4 times, you can say in here. And on this one, all we've had for correctionary plays is just this little bit in here. Not much else to say. And within the play, it had small resistance at the 1823 mark. It most certainly resisted the 1876 piercing above that level. And then obviously here failing to find support, at least on this time frame. When we look further, say we go next to the 3-hour term, what do we see in here? We've seen that even in here, there was just very little resistance, not much for time in this. We'll have to take a look at hour 15, see if anything else is going to come out of it. At least in this, we can see that on the 8-hour timestamp over this 3-hour period, there was support at 1823 because it obviously pierced below it to the 17, and we've seen it came up to this point. It rallied at least 16 cents or 1%. So we know from this point here that this move of support was very much short term and how long that it lasted. This is a 3-hour time frame, so it could have been a span of most likely, technically it could have been like under 6 hours. Why 6 hours? Because there's 2 periods and it's a 3-hour time frame. And 6 hours, no, it's going to probably be closer to like 1 or 2 or something in that area in there. The reason is, let's just assume hypothetically, and this is why it's unlikely to happen, is in the first hour, first moments of this 3-hour period, the market sold off to this bottom. This bottom occurred in the first few minutes or hour in the 3-hour period. And then by the end of it, it would have rallied up to close here. And then this period, let's assume that this big decline happened in the last 5 minutes of the period. That's where it could take 6. I haven't looked at the hour and 15 yet, so I'm going to be looking at it. Okay, but I know it doesn't happen that way. And when I look at this, often that is, single hour term, it managed to, let's see, right in here, this happened in less than 1 hour. Less than 1 hour. It might have been a flash move for all I know. It could have been 10 minutes, 5 minutes. And this high here, it spent very little time at it. It had a nice little rally starting at around 6 p.m. Eastern time on January the 7th. And then it topped at 8 p.m. and it's been now lower highs and lower lows. It hasn't even had a move above the 18 of highs. The best that it's been is right now, grinding its way lower more than anything, but it's staying within the 18 average, but it's supporting the lows. It most certainly isn't resisting the highs. And from this down move in here, not much of a rally. You have like a time correction. Buyers not coming in yet. And of course, I'm going to go short term again. On the daily term, we're having this correctionary move. And I did mention I don't want to go longer term. But when you see something like this, a great extent move, this could be good support here. But holding this area is important. And when I see a big move, I want a longer time frame to look at the 18. So the 3-day, there's something where this could help me, something like that. So in the 15-minute term chart, the rally, that's just the line that I didn't want to do because I was trying to scroll it. So I have to push a button so that I can make my mouse do this. 8 p.m., just a fast move. I consolidated this area for 15 minutes here. So the amount of this price area, 15 full minutes for sure, plus the portion of this and this. And even for that matter, if you're talking about holding and staying above 1860, you pretty much got up there at 715, and your last shot to get that price was 2030. So that would have been a difference of like 75 minutes, not much. But oftentimes when you have those situations, that's all you have is just a fast amount of time, and there we can see more of this market grinding lower. Let's take a look at gold. And it's starting it on the daily term. There's the 2014 highs that there was resistance, and this is just a lot of periods. I'll scroll it further back. Not quite here, but close. And there's this nice little entanglement here. Higher lowing this play to this, and from that point on, it's been nothing but higher lows since, with of course this one and whatever the next one happens to be. But resisting here, resisting again here, resisting again here, resisting again here. Nice higher low. Like there's your inverted head and shoulders pattern that it did have prior, and it's already done its thing that it's supposed to do on its outcome. And then on the break, as I've been stating, clear, concise move. Yep. And now the concise situation. This thing's in line to go to the 1669. I would be extremely. I mean, unless it does its failed breakout stuff, which is find weak support here, and then just fall fast to 1321. That's what would happen if it's a failed breakout. So unless something like that happens, and even that I'm not expecting. Well, you never know, but I don't think it's probable. But I think what's very probable is that we do make a run to 1670 without really breaking down below this low at 1455, and most likely not even, if anything, holding 1500 probably pretty well, if not even higher than that. The key Fibonacci support is 1522. If it comes down to it, usually pierces extra. But you're in the area of talking about 1515 into that sort of area. And just like the price of silver, same thing here again. Just like the same thing of silver, just the fast moves would have most likely had a lot of it happen 20-hour period, 19, yeah, same sort of deal. And it's retracement moving down, same thing. And now 1522 just happens to coincide with established support because we've established it here at about 1543. So if it breaks this level, it's probably going to have a decent leg. And you know what? That would be a relatively decent one if, of course, something like that is to occur. Let's now move on to Bitcoin against the US fiat currency and the daily chart. And we're looking at a lot of days going back to just before 2016. And from the rally, all these correctionary moves. And so this is a good high compared to where it was, because when a big play happens, that's like the obvious. You have a big up or a big down move. You don't expect on a big up move you expect completely to make a higher low. And from these 2016 lows, which was actually like 200 or so, I was fully expecting from the 20,000 highs it would make a higher low, and it did. It did so at 31. Now that's just, it's like so obvious. It's like almost saying like in a hockey game, Canada's taking on a country like Japan. I fully expect Canada to beat them. Well, of course you do. Of course, technically speaking, it's just one of those more obvious things. Now, this one was just such an obvious one. This one, not quite as obvious, but still such. From this high to this low, you're probably going to make a lower high. And here we have it. The vast majority of this has been, it's a combination of a time and price correction as I look at it, but it hasn't filled much of the empty space from this low towards this high. But we do have a downtrend, obviously. I'm not going to draw the lines, but it's pretty obvious that you can do it and draw it through. And if it has one leg lower, then you'd be talking about a significant move. Now, what is this favored to make a higher low going down? Well, since it made a lower high, no. But since it had a decent move from this level, I don't know if it's favored to make a lower low. In fact, I think it would be favored to not make a lower low, because it'd be more likely that it makes a matching or higher one, or the lows are already in. And you don't know if these are the lows in here. They could be. They very most certainly might be. But what has happened is a big breakout and a big breakout statement. That's how I should be verbalizing it, or wordinizing it. That's not even a word, wordinizing. Womanizer, that was a song by Britney Spears, but I don't think that was a word before that was a word. Yeah, that was a word. Yeah, it is a word. But womanizer wasn't a word before it was invented. But neither was the word the. Okay, so with an 18 average going higher, this is the start of the statement of making a new trend. You have stage 1 on this band flattening out from the decline. Stage 2, established resistance. Does this count? Maybe if you did, that the bull market starts here. If you needed more, well, now this is stage number 2. We have now went to stage 3, come back to the band. Now, when you enter situations of stage 4, break resistance, and we'll use this as that example. Well, that means that this is a very common outcome. You get in a spot like this, you get a little bit of a gain, maybe, and you come back to where you came from, which means you are either having the start of that move or you're getting that failed breakout. Again, if this breaks out, you're going to see weakness at the 18, probably go down below there and have further decline. But on the bullish level, you establish the 18, hit the stage 2, do the stage 3, bottom somewhere in this area, usually this key point where it came from as the area, the lowest point. Could be here, could be in the middle, could be just wherever in this place where I'm drawing all these blue lines. But then when it starts to come back up and go through this, well, now we're starting to talk about filling all of this empty space in here, and you're filling that empty space after it made a spectacular higher low from this point in here. And in that, going up towards that, it's all wild card. You could very easily continue the momentum further, start to get movements at significant gains there. You could have what I like to call weak resistance or bad resistance, where yes, you resist it, but you don't go down much. You just do this type of consolidation and you time correct it in one form or another. So that would be the best definition of what I would call weak resistance. And for that matter, same thing on weak support. So then we take a look at this. We can just stick a little line in here just because I like to sometimes draw such. It's where we came from one, where we're meeting up within this 18. And because it's had like a decent, just regular gain, I talk about a move that's not too small, not so big. Well, if it's so big, that means it's going to be well above it. I'm like, okay, now we use it like I mentioned with the previous market, where it's so you go to the 3-day chart. I think the silver chart it was on. You go to the 3-day chart instead of the 1-day because it's such a phenomenal gain. Well, this isn't a phenomenal gain, but it's not a small one. It's regular average, I guess. That's another way of putting it when I talk about that 3 bears synopsis, which I've talked about for years. And because it's a normal gain, the 18 is coinciding like I wanted to with this key area. Okay. So when I go to, say, let's do 8 hour, and let's just then go to the 3. So in this case scenario, this would be that example. Big gain, you're at this. Well, if it falls, go to a larger time frame, the daily. We can see why it's such a good market. It's had several periods down in a row like this. if it doesn't stop going down, the sellers over the last 5 or so periods are in control, and a fast move could very easily happen. Of course, it would bring it down. Just like I mentioned again before, this coincides with the area if we have a decent breakdown. But is there anything else to signify this? Because I only see like this as support. Does the 3 or 1 hour time frame give me anything? Well, the 3 gives me all this little bit of grinding on its way down, and it's been doing it for quite some time. So at any point, it could very easily have a significant move. And if it does it from this point, I would expect that because this is a significant point, 7,400 or so would be where it would go. That would be a loss of about 300 or about 4 or so percent. And for Bitcoin, yada, 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 that's so common and typical. We can see a little bit of a failed move in here when we look at this on the single hour term. As we can see during the 14 and 1500 timestamp that from this low, the buyers came in, brought it up just to a small gain. It went from barely below the lows to barely above. As it went from a little above the slot machine number of the 7s, 7777, to close to 8,000, so about 200 or so basis point gain, a little over 2%. But it immediately failed it, and since then, just showing the weakness in here. So there's nothing here to state very short term that there's anything for the buyers that are just going to be ready to come in control. We can see more on that failed breakout as it plays through in here. You have several periods up. Okay, well, how do we support within this 18? Because I talk about these scenarios all the time. It can happen both bullishly and bearishly. Well, it first comes down to the 18 lows, and let me just do it this way, or 18 highs rather, and it just immediately falls below. Okay. 18 lows. This coincides with here, just like I mentioned, big move, small move, or not so big move. Well, when the 18 coincides with this area here, at the time, this wasn't that big. It wasn't small, but it wasn't big. It didn't support it because it went down to this in here. But as I state, as long as you hold and stay above it, that's fine. So can you hold and stay within the 18? Well, for a while it resisted, but still we're higher lowing this move here. Now we get up to the 18 average of highs. You got the opportunity to hold and stay within it. It goes below it, but that's no big deal. We're just staying within this, and another opportunity. Not enough yet to flatten this out. Starting to, and it was doing a decent job flattening out the band during this run and staying a third and fourth and multiple time hit upon this level. You had this period in here in which, and I'm going to remove the drawing tools because I don't even like having so much of it. But you have this period in here, which after all of these spots trying to really even flatten the band, hasn't done it. And then you rally into it, immediately rejected again, back to that area where you reestablish, because this level of support, at least that was hit more often and more frequently, barely got downgraded, but within the barely getting downgraded, the barely rally that it had resisted it right in here. And then it fails this level of support right there after multiple hits, and it just has another small move again. But how's it acted after the fact? Well, it has resisted even this area of support now. And from that point, we are now period number 2, where it's showing weakness, just grinding lower within this 18 average. So we're looking at filling the empty space from here to here. One of the things I like to do is draw Fibonacci lines, but I'm not going to do it on the Bitstamp exchange because I always do drawing tools here and there. You might have seen me do it in the past, like a few years and days ago and seconds ago. And if I put lines in, I always go bang, remove all drawing tools, which removes the lines. So there's so many Bitcoin markets, I'll just pick another one. So we'll change it to the Bitfinex market. So calculating Fibonacci, the mathematical calculation that I use, which is most certainly not the traditional one, although I haven't looked that recently, but a year or two ago, I see a few people can figure out how to do exponential Fibonacci, which is exponents, or the root of a number. High divided by low, those are the two numbers, to the exponents of, those are the numbers, and it's 0.382, 0.618, up target 1.618, down target negative 0.618. The key numbers I'm looking at are the 38.2 and the 61.8. So we're looking at 78.18 and 74.60. And we're already below the 78 one. So we'll just put a line right there. And then again at 74.60 area. Close enough, and that's where a pierce below would go because that's what they usually do. Well, here, what did we have? We had a move come to this Fibonacci line, piercing below, right before, and notice that it pierces below before that failed move happens. So the failed move happened at key Fibonacci point, not up here anywhere. No. It happens there. We have the breakout again, several periods, and then it just supports it, but with no big rallies for a good period of time. And then it just really lowers the volatility resisting it here, and now we've had the decline, the statement that it's basically going to be taking us down to 74.54. So this is it for technical analysis on cryptos. Going to move into fantasy, more along bankroll management, and really how, like for myself, the way I do... we'll even call business, investing, gambling, because gambling, investing, all the same. Has most certainly trading. Definitely not stopping this. It's just I've been talking on this channel for years about, or a couple anyway, about how you can do this in a part-time basis. So yeah, I'm trading markets on a very part-time basis now because, well, quite frankly, fantasy sports is more fun and very profitable. At least so far has been for me. For this is... my chart of how I've been doing against fantasy hockey. This hasn't been updated in a couple of days, and I'm actually pretty much close to even in the last 2 days. So I'm up close to 4,000. And the way I look at it is I have gained. This was this whole start thing. I think I got a theory that this could be very profitable. That's what it came down to. And then I had a theory. Well, then when I figured it knew it was profitable, then I had a theory that there was 20-30% ROI long term in this. And well, that theory was wrong. It's higher than that. We'll see. I mean, it's at least that, but no, it's higher than that. I do a lot of data calculations in this, and I do a lot of work on this. So you have these gains in here. This was a spot. This in here. Where for like... Because the stakes I'm doing here was like... And I'll show you the stakes. But it was like, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 bucks a day. Before. And then as I'm going, 30, 40 bucks with this rally. Winning like almost every day for about 8 days. And then this in here. Interesting. This was a grind higher. Where it went sideways. Markets can correct either through time or price. And I guess in market cases, this is where you correct. But... the rare spot's grinding up. And I was thinking, how in the world have I been really this unlucky? And I'm actually profiting pretty good. Now, yeah, this gain here was a lucky day. But from all this point in here, I was so unlucky. And this decline here was unlucky. And then, one big win, one big spot. And I play a lot, and that was a $1,000 win. And then a little bit of small gains, having a bad game here. And they'll happen now and again. And then another $1,000 win. And since then, it's just been on that break-even scale. And mathematically, it's a continuation of things like this, I don't think would be that big of a surprise. This number down here of 7,905 indicates how many game lineups I'm playing. It won't be long before it's over 10,000. This doesn't include yesterday's action again, or the day before today's. Today's session was a win, but over the last 2 days, it's pretty close to even, because I basically got what I lost back yesterday. I think I didn't lose what I gained tonight. I think it's a small win. But with individual games in here, this is when I started it back on October the 3rd, pretty much when the hockey season started. So this is the score of the game that was played. This is how much I risked. So 50 cents, just fooling around, just thinking, yeah, you know what? And I was just literally fooling around with that Arizona-Anaheim game. And as these games were coming on, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to test it out to this strategy, see if it works. And I was noticing that, and I got old videos talking about that. You can check the dates. And I actually was asked, and I'm glad, I wish I didn't state like, hey, if you want, I can teach you how to do this, because I was only going to charge like 40 bucks. Now, if anyone asked me, it would literally be at least $1,000. So it's like, and then I want to see coming of the year. Actually, it wouldn't be that much, but it would be close. If I could actually sell a book for close to that number, and actually literally sell one copy, because I think the information could be worth that. Although the problem is there's a few things what could stop the game from being good, and a lot of it is pretty much always on their end. In fact, how they can change the game or just stopping it, stuff like that. But baseball is also going to be part of this as well. Anyway, so these are all the games, and we can see here I won $11 won me 23, and I see at this point here I was just well, I guess when you bet $4 and win 19, you just increase your stakes. That should go without saying. And but the stakes were declining in here, and I was obviously not doing so well. I bet 9.30 here, I got 14, but this day on here, I won $48 on a $12 bet. So now the minimum bets just keep on going up. But this was the start of the nice little run on November the 13th. Or, no, that wasn't it. It was just right here on November 18th, I think. Yeah, it was. And that's where I was able to pull off. Like every single day, it's like, oh my goodness. Now, if you look at the common thread, if the score is good, if the losing team gets 3 goals, and I play the parlays, I'm probably not going to do well. Here, I profited, but that's unlikely. If the losing team scores 1 goal, or 2 goals, or 0, I'm going to probably do good. That was only 25-cent bet. That doesn't count. But here's a 2-1 game, which technically isn't a fantastic score, but it still could be good. I profited. 3-0 game. Oh, okay. 23 turns into 222, which was the start of a magnificent set of like 7 or 8 games. On November the 19th, 40 turns into 197. And I could have bet like a bit more, like 60 or 70. And I probably should have bet more than 36 on this day, winning 106. I think I was saying this was going to be a bad game because of I can look at a game. And sometimes I can determine the long-term profitability, and some are good, some are bad, and I'm getting to the point where almost every game is going to be good anyway, given my strategy, but better than others. But it still wins. Then I put in 50 again. That becomes my my new wager size and winning. This one lost on November 23rd, but there was 2 games and I got it back, so that worked out pretty good. Then a small win on November 24th, and so now the stakes would start to increase, and then you see here on like a set 6 to well, that was crazy. So where's that? Well, all these high-scoring games like 4 to 3, $2. Well, $2 wins 80 cents. 6-4, 72. I got back 36. Well, how about a 3-1 score? Well, that lost. So sometimes good scores will lose. 6-5, $80 gives me back 7. Hey, the losing team only got 5, and so on and so forth. But then came December the 30th. And that came after a huge win. I bet 193 the day before. I won 397. That was one of 2 reasons why I put that large of a bet size on. Another reason was because there was a lot of volume available, and there were people coming. It's like poker. You're looking for what quote-unquote fish, as they say. And this was a day where more fish were going to come to the game. And it was a pretty good score, but it was one of my worst results. It was my worst result that I've ever had. And coming in to tonight, and for the final night tonight, or last night, I guess, today's now the 10th, this is my highest bet size ever. That will change tonight. And then Toronto defeated Minnesota 4-1. I didn't really get much there. There's reasons for that. There's advanced stuff. But January 1st, 164, I won 1,000. It was on December 20th here. There I won 1,000. Pretty nicely. And tonight I'll be putting in, I got 348 on stake, and that number will go up when new games become available. When I first looked at the slate, it's going to be these same Pittsburgh Penguins, which were really a part of my big win here, taking on the Colorado Avalanche. And it's not because the Pittsburgh Penguins won me that big amount that I really like it, although it was the third reason, or second reason. First reason was because I looked at it, oh goodness, Pittsburgh, Colorado, that doesn't look like a good game. And then I think, well, I did do good with Pittsburgh that one game, but that doesn't mean much. But there is this way I played the Pittsburgh strategy that won me the big prize, and it's not only going to be available again, but it'll actually be more stronger with the Jake Gensel injury. And then I look at other statistics. Oh my goodness, this is looking good. And I got the Bankroll to do it. And when I talk about Bankroll risk reward management, if I lose that kind of coin, I come back down to here, to the 3,500 number. And to lose everything, again, it just doesn't happen. I mean, I know you can lose a lot at any given time if things work out really bad. But what it meant here, with this number here, 1 represents if it was, though this gives me, if this number is higher than this, give me a 1. If it's not, give me a 1 here. That's really what all that is. So, not counting the 8th, 9th, and the 10th, which is a sum of 4 games, and I won once today. I went 1-1 yesterday, so I don't know what I did the day before. So I'm either 44-29 or I'm 45-28 now. But more wins than losses, which was really the design the whole time as I was doing this. Now, as far as return on investment, I do a lot of statistics. This is just like one quick, easy one. And this is where my ROI is. This is what my net wagers are. This is what my net returns are. And coming into a couple nights ago at 70.5%, it's lower than that now. It's going to be 60-something. And I wasn't expecting, with 7,800, and I guess it's 88 or 89. I don't count the first viewers. But with almost 8,000 games played, and really now well over 8,000, to have that kind of net result percentage-wise. I don't know what the expected return on investment I have is. I do know that it is very high. So I have to risk this accordingly. But as someone who's been in this business really pretty much my whole life, of just trying to build a bankroll, and it's fun for me to basically start with nothing and then build it up into like large amounts. And as I figure, I think this could easily generate like 5-6 figure income per year. So this is something I want to do seriously. Thus, as I do these videos, it's not going to be like it has been for several years, at least with the market charts rather, where I end up showing all these extra videos, different stuff. It's got a lot of it will definitely be limited for 2 reasons: time-based purposes, and because of the fact that I'll be putting less time myself, thus becoming, and am right now, that of a part-time trader. I trade less coins. Instead of having like 30 crosses, I still got like 14 or 15 of them. But I wait for larger percentage moves, all that type of stuff. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. And remember, risk-reward management is always job number 1. So me doing all these types of stuff, that's just part of my job. Take care. Bye-bye.